It's wet bulb temperature of 79.1. Real close to the 80s, which is dangerous. Wow, it looks clean. Figure out what they're going to do. Everyone else gets started fast. Before you can blink, they're putting down the foundation and the pipes. Kind of like over there. You see, they did the same thing where they got the sand and everything and run off into the street. They're supposed to be putting down an erosion barrier. Instead, they got that mess right there. That's the only thing I can say about this here is they do the construction, they don't do it right. So they're cutting the corners on things like that. You can imagine what the houses are going to be like. I guess the kind of people that can afford to buy these houses, the kind of people that'll probably wind up tearing them, you know, they can tear them down and put something else up. This ought to be fun. Okay. Glad you know where the brakes are. Oh, they cleaned it up. Okay, that was the kind of thing I didn't notice yesterday. Not yesterday, but oh, the GPS finally kicked in. Oh, a chicken coop. Still leaking, still slippery. Look at that. Wow. That's almost slipped on that a couple times. Look at that. See, I slipped just now. Man. Cool. What are you waving me on? Shit, I know what I'm doing. Now I get it. Like some days I'm like, why is it some days it's 93 degrees and it doesn't feel that bad, and then other days it's 93 and you're hurting? It's that wet bulb. Humidity's high, pressure's low. Although the pressure got higher, it'd probably be a lot worse. I don't feel like talking much. It's just something funny about Einstein moving. There's a physics joke in there. Let us help you adjust your inertial frames. Move with relativity ease. Like I said, the jokes write themselves. Einstein moving. Now we're talking about a guy that completely changed our understanding of the laws of motion. So it is funny to have a moving company named after him. I wonder if that's why he picked the like he picked the Einstein for a moving company. Or he just looked at it and he says, "I thought he was a smart guy." Is there's a guy who's paying for Copernicus? Okay, that answers the question. All of his trucks are named after. So we got a guy who was a physics major, and he he said, you know, I can't make money in astrophysics, so I'll just start a moving company. I did that when I was paying my way through college. There's a lot of that, man. This one says Homer. Smart move. That would be funny though. There's a story there. It's a very interesting story. Oh Jesus, look at that. Well, time to be a nosy bitch. I mean, I've been a nosy bitch this whole. Yeah. Yeah. All right. What we got here? Yeah. We got Mixon, Bolivar. Okay. Mixon and Bolivar. That's all right. All day, man. All day. Einstein Moving Company. That just no, but I was thinking about there was a girl that, so one of my mentors worked at Lipstick, and is that the Last Supper done with Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs? Weird. Anyway, one of my mentors, he worked at Lipstick, the Gentleman's Club. I love how they call it that. Not a gentleman to be had. Maybe that's the irony. Anyway, he worked at the strip club, and one of the guest strippers came down there. She was a physicist, nuclear physicist from a Los Alamos facility in New Mexico. She says, you know, I can make more money doing this than I did at my other job, so that's why I had to leave. Then you got a case of, like, what's her name, Rebel Ryder. She does all that nasty stuff, and Rebel Ryder can't. Or she had a degree in mechanical physics or mechanical engineering. My brain's gone in 5 different directions. Oh, they changed out the bumper. thing looks worse every time I see it. So as long as I'm moving, this thing stays on. You're trying to make a point. Virtue signaling is what they call it, I guess now. Something like that. It doesn't matter what you call it, you can still point it out. Is that a... Okay. Cat's alive. What was the point you're trying to make? Like, physics is the fundamental force that explains things in our universe, or physics is the science of some of the fundamental forces. And in our civilization, it's useless. It doesn't say there's something wrong with physics. It says there's something wrong with our civilization. Everybody loves physics when they're making better bombs and faster cars and getting us into the stars so we can sleep with green women. But apparently they don't love it enough to where people can make money off of it. Or at least a comfortable living. I figure if you're gonna stare, you might as well say hello. Why would he name one of the vans Homer? What contribution did Homer make to physics? Homer wrote the Iliad. The Odyssey, I think. Or maybe it was, did he write both of them? Or are they both the same thing? See, I'm not a literary major. The only reason I know about the Odyssey is because they made that musical about Epic the Musical. And in Epic the Musical, they have I was sitting there reading about the Odyssey. I was like, wait, why did they act like this? What would happen there? Well, why did Odysseus feel the need to tell the Cyclops his name after he poked out his eye? And the whole time I'm listening to it, it's like there's two underarching themes. There's one about mercy, and then there's one where they were talking about what was the other thing? Ruthlessness. And how Poseidon tries to twist it and say, you know, ruthlessness is mercy upon ourselves. It's like when we don't care or show leniency to the other person, we're giving mercy to ourselves. I was like, what kind of flawed logic? I was like, yeah, they're probably intertwined, but not in the way you're thinking. Ruthlessness. No, you just start seeing patterns. Never seen that logo before. Is this some kind of charter school? Be one of the magnet schools like I went to. These guys are working on Sunday. Maybe it's plumbers. On my Thursday ride got disturbed. Was it Thursday? No, it's Friday. Whole thing happened on Friday. Just aggravating to say the least. And it's not over, you know. So they got to file the paperwork, get the shots. Find out what, you know, get the updates. Why was the dog hanging around that particular house? Why was the dog protecting that? Why was he so possessive about that particular area? Where did he even come from? I'm sitting here fiddling with the hitting the buttons on my that's why my head dipped down and to the right. I was sitting there messing with my headphones trying to replay a song. I'm walking and talking and saying, yeah, the new GoPro 11, and that's why the GoPro 12, and that's why they got rid of the GPS, because they said it was supposed to make it keep it cool. And next thing you know, I got somebody on me. It's just crazy to me. I guess that's a sign you're in a bad neighborhood, though, is when you can't, you got to always be watching. Like, you can't just sit there and, like, I'm walking through here and I'm talking and not really thinking about anything jumping out at me. I've never had an incident. I've never had an incident with a dog, at least on this street. I've had other things I'm looking at and I'm like, wow, that is something going on there. I'm laughing. They give everybody these signs that says, "Hey, my kid graduated." And it's kind of neat, like I say, because it's encouraging. Now, the high school I went to, there were 333. I always tell people this little stack, and there was like over 300 seniors that we had in my class, and a little over 100 walked across the stage. A failure rate of 66%, 67%. We were not doing well. And you see all these signs. You know, this person graduated. There's Hillcrest. There's all these used to be in our little sporting division. Hillcrest and WT White. I see all of these different signs, and so when you consider the things like I had going, or in my school, where only 33% of the people walked across the stage, you know, be proud, your kid got out of high school. Apparently that is a tough milestone now. And some of these signs you're looking at, there's a good chance that these are COVID kids. These are the guys that had to go to school while the pandemic was upending their lives. Taking classes from home, falling behind. These are the classes that we will be tracking for the next 20 years. Because this poor class will have a lot to, by the time they're my age, they're going to have a lot to deal with regards to environmental problems, the decline of the American empire, and God knows what else, and other future pandemics that are going to be coming around the corner. In the next 4 years, we've got morons that are sitting there tinkering away at the apparatus, and it's scary. It's like watching chimps play with an atomic bomb, using hammers to beat away on the armed warheads. In the next 20 years, these guys graduating class might have to deal with nuclear fallout. With that idiot in the White House, everything's on the table. Every week, man. Every week there's something that makes it look like just the world's shittiest reality TV show. It's a reality TV show with nukes. How will it play out? I lived through the tail end of the Cold War, so I missed out on quote-unquote the fun. People make it seem like the Cold War wasn't that big deal, but it was a big deal. We had like at least 5 instances where we were saved from nuclear annihilation, and it wasn't because the people in Washington or the people in Moscow had level heads. It was because the soldiers in the field were like, "Hey man, I ain't doing that." I was like, unless it's absolutely necessary. A guy double checking the false blip that comes in on a radar screen. A submarine captain who just doesn't have the suicidal nature to push the button. The diplomat at the last second who said just the right thing. There were a lot of close calls. And, you know, I thought this was behind us, and now it looks like it might be something happening from a failed state that couldn't keep a hold of its nuclear stockpile, or some guys you just can't negotiate with. Or some guys who think, I don't care what happens to this world, I got another world with beautiful naked girls waiting for me. A particular number of them. They say 21. 21 virgins? You know, now that I think about it, they just said 21 virgins. They didn't say they were good looking. Surrounded by 21 virgins, and they're all 60 years old and 300 pounds overweight. I call this in as erosion control. Weird. I think I'm gonna stop talking in my videos. It's I can't have a complete thought because there's just so much to absorb. Everything fascinates me. Like when you know a lot, you start observing more. Like as I step over this, sidewalk and it's all twisted like that. Stuff on poles. Stuff blocking sidewalks. Things you can do with wood, although that wood's diseased. Rain's all messed up. There'd be a guy that'll slice that thin, or slice it in a certain part, stain it, fuse it with stuff, with plastic, and make some kind of weird little table out of it. Because he finds the diseased grain somewhat interesting looking. Well, the whole time I'm walking, the thing that's a rarity is long stretches of clear sidewalk. There's been something going on in every little stretch of sidewalk that I've walked on. Pits, divots, cracks, debris, cars. There's just mad disrespect for sidewalks. Sidewalk, you mean that place that I store my junk every month? You mean the thing I park on? I don't know why I don't make that parking spot a little bit wider. I was listening to Confunction on that other street just fine. Not worthy of my attention. I don't think I have any Hollow Knight. I don't think I have any Hollow Knight songs. No, maybe I have one or two. What's wrong with Hollow Knight? It's a sad soundtrack from beginning to end. There's no like, you're not gonna hear anything happy. The only thing that's kind of happy and it's out of place is when there's the dung beetle. But even him you kind of feel sorry for after a while because he's keeping up that heroic face. He's doing his little part to fight. But like I said, he's literally in the shit. He's sitting deep underground in the dung pit or in the sewers. Not really noticed by the people on the top of the world. About the only comic relief you get in Hollow Knight, besides the dung beetle, like luchador guy, is the fake hero. He's wandering around he's wandering around the cursed world as well, and he seems to always get himself stuck in these weird situations. Like you have to rescue him from this spider creature. If you don't save him, you know, he just doesn't appear later on. But there's a very, very, very good reason for keeping him alive. You have to sit here and dive inside of his mind or you have to dive inside this girl's mind. I can't remember how it worked, but you dive inside of one of their minds, and you're fighting what they believe to be like their image, their self-image, and it's a hard battle. It's just when you get used to fighting him one way, he changes tactics and turns into something else. You know, he's a god in his own mind. But when you beat him, there's some kind of reward you get. I can't remember what it was, but it's a pretty big deal. Like in Hollow Knight, even the rewards, you know, you get a slight reward, but you need all the help you can get in Hollow Knight. Like your guy's not insanely invincible by the time that thing ends. It's just that you're really good at the techniques.